Subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications for the latest updates. Tropical Storm Allure has formed on its approach to the Lesser Antilles right now. It is the 12th named storm of the season, the earliest L-named storm on record as well, currently with winds of 45 miles an hour and a minimum pressure of 1,007 millibars as of 11 a.m. Atlantic time this August 21st. We're currently looking at a storm that's located at about 17 degrees north and 60.2 degrees west. The initial motion is about west-northwest, although it's a bit uncertain. A stage 2 on the CDPS scale, significant damage possible, especially in these more mountainous areas on these islands where heavy rainfall can be wrung out. Risk for mudslides and flash flooding is definitely there with this system. Distance of miles from land right now, 97 miles from Barbuda, 174 from St. Martin, 269 from St. Croix. St. Thomas is 279 miles away, and San Juan in Puerto Rico is currently 349 miles away from the center of the storm. There's a lot of watches and warnings in place, so take a second to pause if you need to, but much of the Lesser Antilles and even Greater Antilles have warnings and watches in place. Those warnings right now are from Puerto Rico eastward to the Lesser Antilles, and those watches are going to extend further west into the Greater Antilles, including parts of the Turks and Caicos and Bahamas now. Here's a GFS model showing precipitation. It's been a bit of a lagger on initializing the storm properly, but you can still see the area of the influence with the system driving through the Greater Antilles and Lesser Antilles and potentially impacting the Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, moving into the Gulf of Mexico. Unfortunately, we're still looking at a pretty uncertain situation once it gets to the Gulf of Mexico for impacts to the United States because of how much land interaction it might have with Hispaniola and Cuba. Is really going to make things a lot more murky for the exact intensity forecast, plus the potentially complex interactions with Tropical Depression 14, also making things a bit more murky than we'd really like for the time being. But anyone from the Greater Antilles, Lesser Antilles, up into the southeastern United States on the Gulf Coast need to be watching this. Sea surface temperatures won't be a problem for the storm if it wants to intensify, though. 29 is where it is right now, where it's heading. If it doesn't stay over land in the Greater Antilles, it'll be closer to 30 miles an hour, or 30 degrees Celsius, I'm sorry. Here's the latest wind model from the GFS. This is where it really struggles to initialize the system properly. You can see it doesn't even have it as a tropical storm, but you can see the kind of swirl of the circulation of the system moving through and over the Greater Antilles in this model run. That's going to potentially cause the storm to be weaker if it really stays over them fully. The consensus right now is that it might clip them and try to pull off to the north and avoid greater land interaction, potentially allowing it to become a hurricane as we head later on into the forecast period when it heads into probably favorable conditions in the Gulf of Mexico, although that is subject to change due to land interaction and potential impacts with 14L. Tangent tropical storm force winds look like this for the time being. Barbuda and St. Martin up there above 75%. St. Croix and San Juan are a bit lower, but they will be more certain or clear whether or not they'll get conditions in the next few hours. And St. Croix is there at 61% right now. Here's that watch and warning map. You can see what I was talking about. Moving through potentially a landfall in Puerto Rico now as a tropical storm, so they have the warning there for a reason in a lot of the Virgin Islands and northern Lesser Antilles. Some of those watches extending further up now into Hispaniola and Turks and Caicos and Bahamas. The track is really going to matter a lot here. If it stays on the southern side of this envelope, you could be seeing a lot weaker of a storm, but if it stays in the center of this, some land interaction could inhibit it, but allow the center of the system and the core to really survive moving into the Gulf of Mexico. Here's the latest satellite imagery of the storm. You can see the water vapor imagery right here. Not the most organized tropical cyclone, but Recon Aircraft has confirmed this to be a tropical storm with 45-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Definitely trying to get its act together. Rainfall threat for sure for the Lesser Antilles and Greater Antilles. They need to be watching this very closely. Please stay up to date with the latest from your local weather office for information on your exact location. And stay safe. Force 13 will likely be live later today covering this, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our latest updates. On our outlets, force13.com for web articles and the live cyclone tracker. You can also find us here on YouTube. If you're not watching here already, make sure to subscribe. We're also on Facebook. It's Force13 to find our latest posts there. And we're also on Twitter. It's at Force13 to ask us a question on that platform. You can also help the project become even better by becoming a patron. More information can be found at patreon.com/force13, or you can become an ultimate fan right here on YouTube for perks and to directly support the project and our future endeavors in these times. You can also find us on Discord to communicate with us on our Discord server. Link is in the description below, and you can message Fool13 at extension 9094.